Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics, and I am New Jersey's premier and now 10-time award-winning journalist, top Latino as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, ladies and gentlemen, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks, it's me, the generational talent of media, Fernando Uribe. Hoping you're all having a wonderful November. I know I am. I'm still giddy after last week's election results. And so, of course, not everyone shares my joy. As we all know, insufferable feminists, obnoxious cat ladies, the sort of, virtue-signaling progressives, social justice clowns, and woke fools continue with their nonsense after a couple of days of grieving. So, of course, they're right back at it, as we all know that they would be. And, of course, there's a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Yes, folks, again, the election has come and gone, and in a decisive win, Donald Trump, again, after a few days of states taking forever to calculate their electoral votes, Donald Trump won the Electoral College with 312 electoral votes and won via the popular vote. First time in almost 20 years that a Republican has done so in a national election. And certainly in the days since then, we all saw the meltdowns on social media, the grievances by everybody, as they say on CNN, MSNBC, NJ.com, and folks, and you know it, of course, it's one of those things that was really, really sort of enjoyable to watch when it comes to the left-wing mainstream media, both nationally and here in New Jersey, as well as all of the activists and all of the grievance mongers that we have to endure on an everyday basis. But of course, to no one's surprise, last weekend in Jersey City, there was, again, a full assembly. Of course, people exercising their First Amendment rights. And folks, you couldn't find a bigger collection, once again, of insufferable feminists, those just obnoxious cat ladies. And again, it was interesting, as I left the house Saturday morning, I could smell something in the air. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? I've smelled that before. Oh, yes, it was the stink of cat piss, of all the insufferable cat ladies that were congregating in downtown Jersey City. Somehow, I guess because of the jet stream, the smell was able to emanate all the way up north into northern Hudson County. But of course, folks, whether it was these ladies or other insufferable activists, again, social justice clowns, woke fools, and the like, of course, they had a lot to say about the recent election. Of course, what it means with the 47th president due to take office on January the 20th. Now, let me just give you some perspective here. And now, one of the more insufferable organizations in New Jersey, called Make the Road NJ, hosted a rally where activists and some elected officials vowed to fight Donald Trump. Okay? Now, let me just give you some perspective here. And again, once again, thank you to John R. Hines, the editor of the Hudson County Review, again, fellow Rutgers alumnus, and a member of the Pinnacle in Hudson County. Now, according to Make the Road NJ Deputy Director Nadia Morsi, another insufferable feminist and cat lady, quote, "We will start today and we'll go out and we'll talk to everybody about the country we want to build together." Yeah, Nadia, here's the thing. You can't talk to people when you're talking down to them. And when you're pushing identity nonsense, which is what you and many Democrats and many on the left have done, folks, again, this was an election about your pocketbooks, not pronouns. Okay? It was about public safety and not making sure that, oh my God, we have, there has to be a lesbian in this cabinet position. We have to make sure that, we have a trans person in that cabinet position. No, folks, it's about real world issues that matter to real world people. We're not the same here. I'm talking about everyday things that affect regular New Jerseyans and Americans. Clowns like Nadia Morsi, yes, she's nice to look at, but really nothing nice to hear from. But more on that later. She also wanted to say, today we're going to start building the community. How? You're one of the most egregious people that, A, is all about your pronouns and your signatures on your emails, right? You're all about pushing the Latinx nonsense when, folks, it's Latino or Latina. But Nadia Morsi would rather virtue signal than actually come up with solutions to real-world problems, right? Of course, the New Jersey Working Families Alliance Executive Director, Antoinette Miles, noted that while Election Day didn't end the way that they'd hoped, now is not the time to give up. She goes, Ms. Photogenic goes on to say, quote, "Donald Trump and his movement have won the presidency. Republicans have flipped the Senate, and we're still counting the votes in the House," which, by the way, that was decided. Republicans will have 218 votes in the House, thus giving them a majority. Once again, thank the Lord. "We knew that the result of Election Day was not where our organizing would have ended, even though we are entering a darker time in a political crisis," which is complete bullshit. But again, leave it to Antoinette Miles to ring the hysteria bell. We are not waiting for 2025 to draw the line in the sand against Donald Trump. Even though he is in, it doesn't mean we are powerless. That is correct, Antoinette. She continues to say the Democrats put up paltry numbers for Harris compared to prior presidential races. Gee, I don't know why. Maybe because she sucked as a candidate? Did that ever occur to you, Antoinette? I know, I get it. It's hard for you to throw a fellow black woman under the bus because, you're not about that. But be a little intellectually honest about how atrocious she was as a candidate. With Trump gaining 18 points in Hudson County thanks to Hispanic voters in North Hudson. Despite bad showings throughout the Garden State, Miles also stated that the referendums to raise the minimum wage passed in red states. Okay, cool. That still doesn't account for the cost of living, which, again, the current president and his vice president contributed to that decline. Quote, we need to resist a push to the political center as corporate power and corporate greed go unchecked in our communities. No, Antoinette, there is a need to go back to the center. Again, focusing on nonsense like DEI, pronouns, this ridiculous bail reform that pretty much lets criminals out no matter how serious the offense is. Okay? A wide open border where we're allowing tens of millions of illegals to come into our communities, flood our emergency rooms, overcrowd our schools, right? Eat up social services, but that's all cool. Again, for Antoinette, that doesn't matter. For someone like her, earning over $100,000 a year, yeah, real world things don't affect her, okay? Maybe inflation doesn't affect her. When you look at Antoinette, of course, yes, she's too busy looking at what to order on Uber Eats to care about regular, everyday people, okay? But yes, there is a need to go back to the center. There is a need to go back to some sense of normalcy. Because folks, back in 2020, didn't Joe Biden run on, hey, we're going to be the adults in the room again. We're going to promise you normalcy and competency. And guess what, folks? 4 years later, we got none of that from the Biden-Harris administration. If anything, it was the contrary. It was making sure that, during June, that there's, rainbow lights outside the White House. And that every trans and lesbian's out there during Pride Month during their festivals. No, folks, that's not what regular Americans care about. And one of the reasons that the ad by Donald Trump works so well is because, again, Kamala Harris is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. That was a powerful message because it resonated with everybody, not just, conservatives, but it resonated with independents. It resonated with Hispanics at a very large percentage, by the way, of over 47%. Over 20% of black males and black females were concerned that illegals are getting coddled in our cities, being given debit cards right across the river, right, in other major cities as well, being put up in five-star hotels while regular everyday Americans and even veterans are struggling to pay their rents. Folks, that's not normalcy and competency. So if getting back to the center means that, hey, let's have a rebuke of all these ridiculous policies, then, sign me up. You don't have to try to win me over. You already did. But not to people like Antoinette Miles. Right? So let's keep going here. We have to play the long game and rebuild the coalition and win folks back. That includes black men. That includes Latinos. That includes Arabs, Muslims, and Jews, and the movement for peace in Palestine. Folks, again, what do we learn about overly privileged kids on our college campuses? Don't believe me? Look across the river in Manhattan. Look what happened at Columbia University. Look what happened at NYU. Look what happened at Barnard. Okay? Look what happened at various schools under the CUNY umbrella. Look what happened at Rutgers, my alma mater, right? Where we're basically coddling jihadists. That's what we were doing on our college campuses, folks. And you know what enabled that? The Biden-Harris administration. Because never once did Joe Biden, when he woke up from his third nap of the day, or Kamala Harris, trying to, as we're trying to decipher the latest word salad from this fool, never once did these two incompetent incumbents ever once denounce what's going on college campuses. But you know who did? Credible journalists like myself and others that saw the damages that these jihadists were doing on college campuses. Okay? So when Antoinette Miles and Nadia Morsi want a virtue signal, folks, just know they're full of shit because they don't have your best interest in mind. They never did, and they never will. They want a virtue signal for what they care about, but folks, that's in a very small bubble, right? Let's continue here. Oh, what a surprise. The lapdog of the emperor, Phil Murphy, New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin, said New Jersey has taken a stand against Trump during his first term, which was between 2017 and 2020, as he encouraged the hundreds in attendance not to lose hope. Now, a little Maddie went on to say, quote, I know this is a tough week for a lot of folks in this state. We are a nation built on the bedrock of our Constitution. Those laws give people rights. Those rights don't change depending on who wins an election. Yeah, Maddie, again, maybe I'm assuming you fell asleep during constitutional law when you went to law school. But I remember taking constitutional law at Rutgers during my grad school days, right? With Dr. Elizabeth Hull. By the way, I got an A in it. What a surprise. But I remember somewhere about the importance of sovereignty and the importance about enforcing borders. And now how not only is that the job of both chambers of Congress, but also the responsibility of the executive branch. And what did Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do during these last 4 years? They let us down. So I don't know what rights you're talking about, because I get it. Here in New Jersey, it's a sanctuary state. We live to coddle illegals, all right? We give them driver's licenses to drive recklessly on the road. We try to give them in-state tuition reimbursements, right? I mean, again, what rights are we talking about here, Maddie, that are under attack? But again, and that sort of brings me into, of course, Plotkin also talked about knowing the court actions protected hundreds of thousands of children of illegals, known as Dreamers, along with women's rights. And again, folks, this is what's interesting. Whether it's Nydia Morsi, Antoinette Miles, and more people that I'm going to cite right now who, again, I think need a reality check after what happened last Tuesday. Women's rights, reproductive rights are not under attack, especially in New Jersey. All the Dobbs decision did it in June of 2022 was relegate the decision back to the states, and that's what states have done. Because again, for a lot of you out there, especially on the left, that never took constitutional law or never took a U.S. history course, there's something called the Bill of Rights. And in the Bill of Rights is the 10th Amendment. That talks about federalism and the importance of states' rights. But you wouldn't know anything about that because you're too busy fixating on your pronouns and making sure they were coddling mentally ill people, right? I'm sorry, trans people. Same thing. But this is the thing, folks. Okay? People like Nydia Morsi, people like Antoinette Miles, people like Maddie Plotkin are sort of a symptom of a bigger problem, because what we have learned since last Tuesday was a plethora of toxic journalists, activists, academics, and virtue signalers that got exactly what they deserved on November the 5th into the morning of Wednesday, November 6th. And I'm not going to go through too many of them, but folks, here's the reality. Propagandists that masquerade as journalists, such as Tom Moran, Alan Steinberg, Bob Hennelly, Charles Stile, okay? These are Max Pizarro as well, okay? What do they all have in common? Number one, they all work for garbage news sites like Insider NJ, the Bergen Record, and of course, the Star Ledger. But what these TDS sycophants, again, fail to realize is that what happened last week was a repudiation of all of the nonsense they've been espousing in their garbage columns. Because regular, everyday Americans said, hey, we may not like Donald Trump as a person, but goddamn, when it comes to policies, we'll gladly take those days back than what we've lived through the last 4 years. And there isn't a metric otherwise to tell you folks. But again, these are journalists, again, masquerading as journalists, because we all know they're full-blown left-wing propagandists who've been lying to you for months, if not years, about the evils of a second Trump presidency. And what have we seen since the president-elect has been assembling a cabinet? We've been seeing some pretty smart people being put into positions that, guess what, are going to make a difference, right? Tom Homan as the border czar, because God knows the border czar the last 4 years didn't do shit, right? Also looking at Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, soon to be the next Secretary of State. That's a guy who you know is going to have some balls on the global stage, sticking it to dictators and antagonistic regimes when it comes to the United States. Okay? And many others. But again, folks, let's get back to this sort of collage of clowns in New Jersey media, academia, and activism. All right? We also have plenty of operatives earning over $100,000 a year, not doing shit. Take your pick, folks. You have Amy Torres, the executive director of the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice. Again, folks, imagine the fact that she's married. Imagine coming home to this insufferable cat lady whose biggest decision of the day is whether or not to buy that second or third macchiato at her nearby Starbucks. This isn't a woman that does anything. What does the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice do? Virtue signal? Coddle illegals? You think Amy Torres is going to ICE camps or going to, taking some illegals into her home? Of course not. She'd rather virtue signal and tell you how evil you are when we all know the real evil person is someone like Amy Torres. Okay? Or how about other operatives or comms people that earn over $100,000 a year working in different campaigns? Of course, for example, you have Laura Bustamante, the field director for the Andy Kim campaign. Sure, congrats to Andy Kim. Fine. To the winner go the spoils. But what Laura Bustamante is again, is another insufferable activist earning $100,000 a year. And what does she really do? I get it. She wants to moan and groan about how bad she had it during the Trump years. What exactly did you have that was so bad in your life, Laura? You're earning over $100,000 a year. You're eating well. Clearly, if you ever seen Laura in person, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? So clearly, Laura's not missing any meals. So what exactly was so bad about the Trump presidency? For you as a lesbian, what exactly sucked for you, Laura? Because again, I'm still struggling with the idea about, where's this bitching and moaning coming from? You're still going to make money. You're still going to virtue signal. You're still going to coddle illegals. You're still going to, coddle the alphabet mob, which you're a part of. So what exactly is going to suck about a second Trump presidency? You're still going to make money. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully the cost of food will go down, which again, I would think that someone like you, Laura, would be ecstatic about. Okay? How about other useless comms people or operatives like Maria Rodriguez-Gregg, the communications director at Woke State University in Montclair, working in government affairs? What government affairs? Well, you work from home most of the time. Like you're sitting on your ass. What exactly are you doing other than virtue signaling? And for a fact that this was a 2-term Republican Assemblywoman, I don't know what happened to her. I guess when you start hanging out with garbage people like Jay Lasser and people like that, yeah, it kind of rubs off on you. Who else can I look at here? Oh, yes. Micah Rasmussen, the director of the Rebovich Institute at Rider University. Folks, another insufferable left-wing academic making $100,000 a year, sitting on his ass, tweeting nonsense. Now, again, aside from the fact he can't dress himself, or maybe Stevie Wonder is helping to dress him, if you've ever seen him on TV, it's pretty embarrassing. But Micah Rasmussen, again, reminds you of everything you hate about academia, about insufferable academics that don't live in the real world and probably never had a real job other than just being an academic. And that sucks, Micah. I get it. Not having a real job in the real world kind of detaches you, but keeps you in that bubble. Again, folks, these are the people we're dealing with when it comes to Trump derangement syndrome on social media. Let's look at others. For example, Uncle Dave, David Cruz with NJ Spotlight News. Again, another TDS sycophant who, again, if you ever watch this program, had the audacity last week when he interviewed State Republican Chairman Bob Hugin, who I have my issues with, by the way, and sort of downplays the fact that there's toxicity on both sides of the aisle. Because that's what we saw, folks. Okay? When one party and one side of the aisle is calling the 45th president Hitler, a fascist, a potential dictator, hey, what do you think is going to happen? Yes, and thank the Lord that he survived both assassination attempts. But to someone like David Cruz, right, the fact that, this was exactly his demeanor. That's exactly his response to when Bob Hugin brought up the fact that, listen, this guy was nearly assassinated. Now, I get it for David Cruz. You live in a shithole part of the southern part of Jersey City, so hearing gunshots is normal for you. You wake up in the morning, you hear gunshots. You go to bed, you hear gunshots. So again, the idea of someone being shot at, you're immune to that, Dave. Okay? But instead of being intellectually honest, right? Another lazy journalist who works 6 months out of the year, and let's be honest, folks. You ever watch NJ Spotlight News? Other than the MILFs on that network, what reason is there to ever watch NJ Spotlight News? It's not for David Cruz. So, Dave, you should take this time to sort of reflect. I get, you're very busy during the day looking at what's on the menu in the food court at Gateway Center, but try doing some actual work and try being intellectually honest. I know it's a struggle for you, but try it, Papa. What else do we have here? Oh, yes, we have Lauren Albrecht, the chair of the New Jersey LGBTQ Democrat Caucus, and of course, one of the other minions working at Garden State Equality. Here's a woman, folks, who has the audacity to try to tell me that she's lucky to come on my show when, folks, let's be honest, you go across New Jersey and ask people who Lauren Albrecht is and Fernando Uribe is. Folks, everyone knows who Fernando Uribe is. Okay? That's a fact. But for Lauren Albrecht to get all triggered because, hey, maybe there's some humor at her expense because she's so giddy about meeting the vice president when she did, and then gets triggered about that, but then, hey, feels that, other people get triggered. No, Lauren, we're not getting triggered. We're calling you out on your bullshit, which you excel at. To say nothing of the fact that now you're working for Garden State Equality, and what are you interested in doing? Yes, contributing to the decline of education for our kids and fight back against parental groups and parental rights, which again, all parents want is to make sure that our kids are not being exposed to left-wing woke nonsense, which you excel at. But again, for a woman that gets triggered about being misgendered or misgendering other people, it's pretty rich for this virtue signaler to get mad at anybody else. But of course, folks, Those and plenty of the others there you can see in the collage of clowns are the ones that need a serious awareness check. Those are the ones that need a come to Jesus moment. Because Donald Trump's your next president, whether you like it or not. And again, we'll return to some sense of normalcy and competency, unlike what we've seen for the last 4 years. When it comes to like normalcy and competency, folks, nobody on that screen right now, in that collage that you're looking at, nobody there exemplifies competency or normalcy in any way. They may think they do, but hey, people think the Easter Bunny's real also. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. Now to some local news for your review. And once again, a special thank you to the editor of the Hudson County Review, John Hines, for his reporting on this story. Now, Jersey progressive and activist and former county executive candidate Elena Little will be seeking a council seat in Ward E coming up in Jersey City in 2025. She wants to say, quote, "I don't take money from big developers or special interests. Our movement is people-powered, so our neighbors can trust that I'll work for them, not the powerful. From tenant protections to flood prevention, I've spent years advocating for our neighborhoods and fighting to ensure Jersey City is a place where everyone can thrive." She said that her platform will include a heavy focus on tenant protections, climate resilience, and transparent government, with a focus on eliminating wasteful spending, increasing government accountability, and prioritizing resources for community programs. Now more than ever, I believe it's important to bring our community together and advocate for people-first policies. Together, we can continue to build a Ward E that reflects our shared values and ensures that Jersey City is a place for everyday people. She will be hosting a campaign kickoff later this weekend at 2:30 p.m. at the Hudson Hound Speakeasy, which is located at 8 Erie Street. Of course, all are welcome to attend, with RSVP options available. Now, Little is just the second person to announce for the Ward E council seat, with former Board of Education trustee Alexander Hamilton, not to be confused with the former president, running on Council President Joyce Waterman's ticket. Now, the coveted downtown council seat does not have a lot of early candidates for the nonpartisan November 4th, 2025 election. Since many are waiting to see what incumbent James Solomon would do, he ultimately announced a mayoral run just a couple months ago. Well, let me tell you this about Elena Little. I know when she ran against Craig Guy, I mean, she's listen, she's not lying to you. I mean, she is running on a people-first platform. Some progressive policies I can't really get behind, but again, you could tell that she's a woman that cares about her residency and about the city that she loves residing in. Now, again, what remains to be seen whether or not the incumbent councilman in Ward E and, of course, the mayoral candidate, James Solomon, will endorse Elena Little eventually. I mean, they're two progressives. They're sort of two peas in the same pod. Now, again, whether or not James Solomon will bring her on the team remains to be seen. I mean, sources have told me that they have met. They've had productive discussions about what the platform is ultimately going to represent and how much of it really Elena Little shares with James Solomon. So we'll find out, folks. Again, it's less than a year away. But, of course, people are scrambling to announce their candidacies in Jersey City, of course, for next year's mayoral election and for all the seats on the city council. Lastly, folks, I do want to remind you to mark it on your calendars for Wednesday night, December the 18th, at the world-famous Mad Hatter in downtown Hoboken, as I'll be bringing you the Holiday Happy Hour coming up here in 2024. Folks, I got to tell you, I've been proud to host this toy drive for many, many years in different capacities, because it's important to make a difference in the lives of local children. It's been a tough year for all of us, folks, whether it's elections, whether it's trying to adjust to inflation, whether it's the rising rents, cost of goods and services, everything, folks, travel, everything has gone up. But one thing that hasn't gone up is the joy for many kids during the holiday season. And that's why it's important to please join me, along with my amazing hosts, Lucy Costa and Vladimir Carrero, as we'll be greeting you upon arrival at Mad Hatter. It's located in downtown Hoboken, folks, as you can see there on the flyer provided. Of course, nearby parking is available at a parking deck just 1 block away from the venue. There'll be plenty of specials for both appetizers and drinks. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we'll have plenty of local businesses supporting this very important cause. But let me say this about why this year, I would say now more than ever, the Holiday Happy Hour really means so much. Again, folks, parents are struggling. In many cases, single parents are struggling in a tough economy. Hopefully that turns around by this time next year. But in the meantime, many parents are having to make decisions between vacations, between supplies for books and schools, for clothes for their kids, for groceries, for wireless plans, for internet service, and everything else that we tend to sort of take for granted on an everyday basis. But during the holiday season, I can tell you folks, I was really, really privileged and I think spoiled to some extent. I had two hardworking parents. And yes, while being the son of immigrants and working and, growing up in a working class family, my parents always worked hard for me every Christmas. And I was never disappointed. And for that, I'm forever grateful to them. But not every kid has that luxury. Not every kid has that chance during the holiday season. That's why it's so important, again, folks, to mark it on your calendars for Wednesday night, December the 18th. I'll be there, and if you've gone to my holiday happy hours in the past, you'll have quite the colorful and festive suit on to greet you upon arrival. But more importantly, folks, it's not about getting attention or, getting ovations. It's about getting results and working for our local kids and also for our local parents who have seen the strains on them and whether or not they can even make the holidays a happy one for their kids as well. But never fear, folks. That's what we're looking to do at the Mad Hatter on Wednesday night, December the 18th. So again, we are asking each guest to bring one unwrapped toy to the event, and subsequently, upon the arrival and presentation of your unwrapped toy, you'll get a drink ticket for a shot at the bar. Folks, Mad Hatter is great kitchen, great food, great service, and a great atmosphere. So I can't say it enough. Once again, on Wednesday night, December the 18th, make it a point to stop by and say hello, but more importantly, to donate a toy and also to make a difference in the lives of local children. Now more than ever, folks, it's the least we can do for one of our most vulnerable communities that we have. Once again, join us on Wednesday night, December the 18th, for Holiday Happy Hour 2024, and together, we'll make the holidays just a little bit happier for all our local children. And that's our show for this week. Once again, to check out all of the excellent programming brought to you by the leader in independent media right here in Hudson County, folks, it's always the Hudson Media Group. I want to thank the CEO and executive producer, Patrick O'Melia, for his belief in this program going on well over 5 years now. We'll be hitting the 6-year mark coming up next spring. Can't say again how thankful I am to him for his belief in this program and for his belief in my media brand. I can't say enough, folks, about the amazing people I work with here at the Hudson Media Group. And again, folks, it might look easy, but editing and filming isn't. So I'm truly grateful for their great work and their dedication to this program in helping make it as colorful and as entertaining as possible. Folks, I can't say enough of what a privilege it is to work here with the Hudson Media Group. I look forward to working with them throughout 2025. Again, folks, make sure you like the Hudson Media Group on Facebook. Of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter. I can't say enough. Like, comment, and share. And also, click the subscribe button, and you'll be notified of all the great programming brought to you by the Hudson Media Group, which includes Hudson County Live every Wednesday with John R. Highness, Stick at Night with Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano, and other great men and women working with North Bergen High School that work here every week to produce great content and programming. Always remember, folks, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Talking Politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. I am New Jersey's premier and now 10-time award-winning journalist. Top Latino is voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. And so I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, folks, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Please party responsibly. Again, a special thank you to our veterans as we just celebrated Veterans Day this week. Thank you to all our veterans, past and present, for helping preserve the greatest republic in the history of the world, the United States of America. So again, if you haven't done so, thank a veteran when you see them, and thank them early and thank them often. Once again, folks, take care of yourselves, look after your elderly neighbors, look after all your kids, and folks, once again, thanks for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.